Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, damsels and dingbats, to another chit chat video. Yes, it's been a while, as it has been pointed out by some of you. Just kind of been unmotivated and blah lately. First of all, before we get into this too far, please forgive the in the background. I have a fan blowing on me because even though it is October 3rd, the beginning of fall, it's still so freaking hot in my office right now that sitting here in my sweatpants with no shirt on, I'm still sweating. So yeah, that's probably because I'm a fat diabetic, but it's also probably because it's a lot warmer outside than it should be right now. And even with the air pumping in this house, I want to go fishing, damn it. So yeah, I have a big old box fan blowing. It's on a low setting, so hopefully it won't be too bad for the recording here. But if you do hear that, you know, it's not problems with my mic or anything like that. I'm going to be talking with you guys hopefully for about half an hour here like normal. So I want to be as comfortable as possible while I do so. Again, as I said a moment ago, I haven't done any of these chit chat videos. I haven't actually done a lot of any videos for about a month now. Honestly, we've had so much going on. On top of that, over this weekend, I managed to get sick again. I tend to get sick a lot during the fall and winter seasons, so try to keep that in mind as we proceed. I'm getting over whatever it was I had. It wasn't a very long thing. At first, it was just like my throat really hurt. I thought it was because I had sinus, my sinuses were draining in my sleep, and I'd wake up coughing on my own snot and choking, and, I thought my throat hurt because of that and my sleep apnea. I tend to breathe through my mouth and snore through my mouth, so it dries my throat out really bad, and you combine that with the coughing. Like I said, I thought that's what was the cause was, but then my... I don't know what you call them, but when you go into the doctor and they poke you on either side of the throat, just under the jaw, and they ask you, does that hurt? Yeah, well, that hurt, like, a lot. And they felt all swollen, whatever those glands are or whatever. And from there, it just went downhill. Like, I lost all my energy. My physical energy was just, I didn't have any. For the last 2 days, I've literally been doing nothing but sleeping. Yesterday, for example, well, the day before was the worst. I got up to see Tara off to work, and then I went back to bed for like 2 or 3 hours. Then I got up and checked my Facebook game stuff, and I was like, damn, I'm tired. I think I'm going to go back to bed. And then I got up a couple hours later, and I let the dogs out, and I got something to eat, and I was like, fuck, I need a nap. So I went back to bed. I did that like 5 times. And Tara ended up working late, so, it wasn't really a big thing. But she came home, and she went straight to bed, and I finished watching the movie I was watching, and I went back to bed with her. Like, I was tired enough to actually go back to sleep after having slept all day. So, needless to say, during those 3 or 4 days there, I was unmotivated to do anything on the computer, let alone make videos. Prior to that, I've just been, there really hasn't been a lot going on in my life worth making videos about. There aren't a whole lot of games out right now that I'm too thrilled about. I can't live without them. The ones that I do find interesting, my poor old computer can't run them anyway. So I've just kind of been blah, I'll make videos later or I won't. And that's pretty much been the extent of that. I did spend a couple weeks, I've been working on more of my handcraft stuff. I've been feeling very artsy and feeling the urge to put something together with my hands. So Tyler's birthday wasn't too long ago, and he came up from Job Corps to spend a weekend with us, and the last time he was up, I asked him, what do you want for your birthday? What would you like to do for your birthday? I don't have a lot of money. Your mom's going to buy a lot of, buy you your gifts and stuff, but I would like to do something with you or for you on your birthday. What would you like? And he's like, I want a dungeon crawl. was like, okay, well, I can do that. You know, he used to role play as part of our group with us all the time back before he took off to Job Corps. And, you know, he misses that. He misses being able to socialize and hang out and role play. So he wants to do a dungeon crawl. I'm freaking thrilled to do that for him. So I'm sitting trying to put something together for him, and I'm like, you know, I don't want to do just a regular old dungeon crawl. You know, I don't. It's that's boring. I want to do something. I want to pick up the game a little bit and do something special for him. So what I did was I went and I cut up a bunch of cardboard. My garage is freaking full of cardboard. Talk about a fire hazard. But it's got almost an unlimited supply of arts and crafts cardboard. Arts and crafts cardboard meaning if I've got the time and patience to cut up boxes, I could use them for arts and crafts. Anyway, I went out and cut up a couple boxes, and I took the dungeon map, and I actually created quasi three-dimensional painted dungeon tiles that I could use to represent the map. And then I went through all of our board games, Temple of Elemental Evil, The Legend of Drizzt, Descent. I think I even dipped into the Talisman box, and I pulled out all the minis we had for the monsters and the player characters. And I ended up, when he came up, we ran, and we only ran about a quarter of the dungeon. We had a couple hours of BSing and eating pizza and just chilling, chillaxing. He opened some gifts, and we had some cake and ice cream. But once we started going, everyone seemed to have a lot of fun. Everyone was really enjoying it. So my couple of weeks of work there really paid off. But he ended up getting tired and needing to bail about halfway through the first level. I did 2 levels. Had it all ready for a long game night, but I wasn't upset or anything that he wanted to bail early, because him and his friend, they had to get back on a bus the next day and head back out, back to Grand Rapids. So, it was cool. I got to share that with him, and he really enjoyed it. Tara and I went to the game store and bought him a owlbear mini, specifically for him. The backstory on that is his characters have horrible luck with owlbears. As a matter of fact, anytime there's an owlbear in the game, the call sign is Hooters. And then he does this mock little scream. There's actually a story to that, but maybe I'll tell that sometime later. But the point is, I got him this little owlbear kind. In the game, it's one of those magical figurines that you can throw on the floor, and it turns into an owlbear, and it obeys your commands and stuff like that. So I thought it would be cool to let his characters control the owlbears instead of letting the owlbears eat him for a change. So he just kind of gave me this look when I handed it to him, and he literally said, I don't know what to think about this. It looked like he was about ready to cry, but I wasn't sure. But I would like to think he was so touched by the idea that, it was kind of an emotional, something he'll always remember moment. But I did spend a lot of time putting that together for him. Tyler's doing really, really, really well. He's about ready to wrap up his Job Corps training as it is. So great news there. The bad news, it's awesome news for him. Bad news for us, because his mom's not taking it well, poor gal. But he's actually done so well that they're going to ship his ass to San Francisco, California, to do another year's worth of advanced culinary training. So I told him, man, good job. You as long as they're giving you free education, ride that train. Get as much as you can while you can. And not to mention you're going to get to go see a part of the world you've never seen before. And so we're really proud of him for that. He's also got his driver's license on his birthday. So the kid's growing up. I hate to say it, but he is not a little boy anymore. He is done grown up. Also, forgive me, I didn't state it earlier because they weren't doing it earlier and I forgot. But if you hear a thump and a bump every once in a while, the damn squirrels are outside dropping nuts on my roof. we got a walnut tree that kind of overhangs the roof of the house, and they get up there and they pluck all the walnuts off and drop them on the roof of the house. Then they roll down and drop and plank on my deck, and then the squirrels come down and pack them off. But right now they're in the harvesting portion, and it sounds like it's hailing outside like walnuts. So if you hear that, that's what's going on. Anyway, what else do we got going on? Everdark is typed up. The first draft. I still need to go through and hand draw in all the illustrations and the maps, but it is done. I typed it all up and I put it on disk, and I took it up to a local, one of those, places where they print stuff for you, and they wanted like $80+ to print out one copy in color of my campaign. I went, what the? Actually, I didn't. I just kind of blinked at them stupidly. So we're like, you know what? Let's just take a look around, see if we can, maybe we can find some ink for our old printer, and maybe I can figure out how to fix it. I can print it myself. But we ended up finding a brand new Canon printer on sale for less than it would have costed to have them print it out. So we're like, okay, score. We're just going to buy this, and we need a new printer anyway. So we bought it. We took it home. I printed out the entire Everdark campaign, and it took every drop of ink in the brand new ink cartridges on this printer to print it out. So needless to say, when it comes time for me to start printing these things out in bulk, for those of you who are going to play test it for me, but I'm going to have to find some other way to do it. I simply can't afford to. Those ink cartridges cost about, around the $50-$60 range for a pair of them. Or no, excuse me. It was $50 or $60 individually. So, I guess I can understand how it would cost around $80 to print out a single copy from their perspective. But regardless, I'll have to figure it out. It's going to be a while down the road. Like I said, I have to go in and draw in all the maps, hand draw in the maps and the little illustration areas and stuff like that. So, we are making progress on the project, and the tabletop group is running it every other weekend now. They're on chapter 2 now. They're about ready to finish up chapter 2. Everything's going along as well as can be expected for this group. Mostly they are a bunch of kids, so they tend to take things less seriously. They tend to be far less predictable. I still need to get leashes for a couple of them. The point is, everybody's having fun, and the campaign has not been derailed yet. If you're part of my group and you're listening to this, do not take that as a personal challenge. If you destroy my campaign, I'm going to duct tape you to the floor and let Winchester and Biscuit drool on you. Alright. Moving on. Fishing. I finally got to go fishing. After 5 years, well, to be fair, after 4 summers, having moved up here to Michigan to be with Tara for 4 years, I've been wanting to go fishing so bad, and it's just never worked out. This year, my 5th year here, I finally got to go out and go fishing. We tried a couple spots here and there. With little results. Like literally the fish I was catching were smaller than the palm of my hand. Most places around here you need a boat to get out to the deep water to get the big guys, and we don't have a boat. I don't have the money for a boat. If we did get a boat, if we did have the money for a boat and we got one, we're not going to be towing it behind the Focus. So we just keep looking around for places where we can go fishing. A couple places, the internet said was real good, and we drove all day to get there and drove around the lake all day looking for some place on the lake to go fishing, and either it was all private residential property or there simply was no place to, unless you were camping or something like that. There was no real place to get to the lake. The best place I found, our friend Angela, her church has a kind of like one of these summer camp style places out in the boonies, and they let us every once in a while go out and attend services out there with them. And then when they close up and they go, we get to stay behind it and use the lake. We only get to do that once in a while. I'm not going to be able to get to do that anymore this year because they've closed the lake. Well, the lake's still open, but the church has closed their lake property for the year. So they won't be opening back up till spring. So, but I found a really nice spot out there, and I managed to catch a handful of good-sized fish. But beyond that, I really did enjoy going out and getting out of the house and getting some sun and some fresh air, and every once in a while getting a nibble. The last place we went to sucked. I mean, it was beautiful. It was just outside of one of these reservoirs here in probably about an hour and a half drive from the house, if that. And found a little dock next to a park, and it was a river, not a lake. It was one of those wide, barely moving rivers, so it might as well have been a lake. But regardless, we got out there and we sat out there, and it was just beautiful. I mean, picturesque. Picturesque. You know what I'm trying to say. Somebody could have painted it. No fish. I don't know what the hell the problem was. I sat out there in the blazing sun for 4 hours, not one bite. Sucked. So I don't know if I'm going to go back to that place again, or next time I go, maybe we'll go later in the evening when it cools off. Because I know a lot of the shore fishing's better early in the morning or later in the evening. But I could almost cast all the way across this river. So maybe if I could figure out where the deep spots were and I could cast into them, that would be one thing. But needless to say, that 4 hours, all I managed to get out of that was dehydrated and a sunburn. But I still enjoyed spending the time with Tara, and like I said, it was a nice park. Maybe we can go back up there someday and have a barbecue, or go play some frisbee or something like that. The water kind of went most of the way around the lake, so there are probably a couple other spots I could have went and checked out too. But where I was at was closer to the dam, so there were not a lot of watercraft out there. If you went to the other side of the park, I could tell just by looking, they had sea-doos out there. They had big-ass boats, rafts, canoes, you name it. That's kind of where all of the boater kids were playing. And I was like, I ain't got to cast my line out there. I ain't going to catch no damn fish. Of course, that's probably why I wasn't catching any fish over where I was at, because all of the fish were over playing with the boaters. Anyway, so yeah, I finally got to do some fishing. I enjoyed that. Got my fishing gear up to the noob level, basic fishing poles, basic tackle box, so forth and so on. So I'm looking forward to next summer already, so I can get out and maybe go do some more fishing. Maybe if I'm lucky and this warm weather sticks around for a couple more weeks, maybe I can talk Tara into taking me out one or two more times before it gets too cold out. But she's busy with work, and we got all these holidays coming up, and we still have our role-playing group every other weekend, and so I'm not going to hold my breath for it. But if it happens, it happens. As I've said, I've been working a lot on handcrafts. A few weeks ago, I got a wild hair up my butt to make another one of these paper ships that I make. For those of you that know me, I get the urge every once in a while to take a bunch of paper and a bunch of glue and squish them together until they look something remotely like an old sailing ship. I've been doing that on and off for the last few years, kind of taught myself how to do it. So they're not, like professional level. You can tell that the person who put them together is a entry level paper craftsman. But I'm proud of them. It gives me something to do. And this last one I decided I would kind of photograph the steps that I took in making the thing and turn it into a video. So I got that video done, and I've got it scheduled for you guys should be seeing that video on November the 18th. So if you're into that kind of thing, and if you want to laugh at me for my piss poor artistic skills, there will be a chance for you to do that. Um, Also got a bug up my butt. I don't know. We were at the dollar store the other day looking for something. I can't remember exactly what it was. And I saw that they had on sale a couple bags of these. You know the green and tan plastic army men that you used to play with as a kid. And the kids still play with them today now. But they were, kind of on the same level as like Legos. Everybody knew somebody who had these things, and even I had them. A lot of people used to like to blow them up with firecrackers and stuff like that. I was never quite that violent, but I always thought when I was a kid, I wish there was some way to use these like a game, because they'd be perfect for a game. How do I use these for a game? I never got around to coming up with anything. But I'm in the dollar store and I see they have big old bags of these things for sale. I'm like, you know what? I could probably do some research online and find somebody who's developed rules for this. Then I can go through and paint these up and make them nice and, just make a poor man's tabletop war game, to add to our board game shelf out there. And give me something to do and something to focus on. And like I said, I'm still feeling kind of crafty. With my hands. Got to do something with my hands. So, well, not that, you perverts. Anyway, so I went ahead and grabbed a couple bags of these. And they were just the army men. They didn't have anything else. No barricades, no fences, no tanks or jeeps or nothing like that. So, the other day we went to Toys R Us after we dropped Tyler off at the bus stop to go back up there to Job Corps. I talked Tara into taking me up to Toys R Us to see if I could find a couple of these cheap tanks, because I want to make two armies, and for each army I want 2 jeeps and 1 tank. So I was like, if any place has them, Toys R Us has got to have them. And they ended up having this bucket, this small bucket of. Well, I'll take a picture of it and put it in the video before I post it. But it was just full of Army men stuff. There are a couple jets. There's some tank. I got the tanks I needed. There were no jeeps, which kind of frustrated me because that means I got to go back out later and eventually find some damn jeeps. But it had the tanks I needed. And it had a bunch of barricades and fences and stuff like that. So once I find some jeeps, I'm going to go ahead and go through and separate them out as evenly as possible so both sides have the, access to the same number of and type of forces. And then I'm going to paint them all up and, print out some rules. And then maybe, doing this, these dungeon tiles, I had a choice to make. Do I do them in cardboard, or I've got a bunch of foam laying around? Do I carve out 3D stuff in foam? Well, the problem with the foam is you can't spray paint it because the spray paint eats foam. So, I didn't want to go out and get a bunch of crap just so that I could spray paint. And I didn't have enough hand paint to hand paint everything. So I was like, you know what, I'll do it on cardboard. I don't have enough time for this other thing. But now that that's done, maybe once I get these 3D Army men painted up, find some rules, I can go and get some of this preservative crap that you put on the foam. You let it dry, and then you can spray paint it, kind of base coat it. But I was thinking I could use some of this foam to make like some 3-dimensional buildings and stuff like that. For those of you familiar with Warhammer, which has been around since the dawn of frickin' time, it's kind of like Magic the Gathering. It's been around since I was a kid. Warhammer's the rich man's war game. Like, it costs like $30 to buy a tank, or $120 to buy a 50-man army that you need to paint. I never had the money for these things. I was always interested in playing. I always liked to watch people play, and I always kind of fantasized about, that would be awesome if I had, my own army of, this and that, and how would I paint them. And I actually did go out one time, and I bought a 6-man platoon. No, it was a squad. 6-man squad of, crap, I can't remember what you call them. They're the base level, like, Space Marine troops. and I knew a guy at work that professionally painted them, so I had him paint them up in the kind of a jade green and yellow gold color, but that's about as far as I went. I didn't have enough to play with. I didn't have enough, I was planning on buying a little here and a little there and slowly building up an army and getting into the hobby, but that plan, it just didn't pan out. So I've always still had this desire to kind of play these type of games, though. So that childhood, what can I do to make this a game with these plastic army men thing, has kind of come back to the surface. So I think I'll make that my next project. I'll probably photograph stuff as I go and turn it into a video when I'm done and whatnot, but I haven't really gotten started on it yet. I'm still collecting the bits and gizmos. Speaking of board games, went to bed the other night, as I usually do. Tara has a habit when she goes to bed. She'll lay in bed with her phone and she'll play her these little games that she does every day. She'll play her games and check her Facebook and stuff for 45 minutes to an hour, half an hour at most if she's not feeling good or she's really tired. But she usually always has that phone out when she goes to bed. So I went to bed and I rolled over and I was just getting ready to doze off and I hear So I rolled back over and I was like, what? Because I'm thinking, I forgot to do something, or the cat puked on the bed, or something like that. Something I just did not want to deal with right then. So I kind of had a what tone in my voice. But anyway, she shows me her phone, and it's a sale at one of our local game and hobby shops, and it's a table sale. They've taken a lot of their end of summer. They've gone through and they've kind of weeded out all of the stuff that has not sold in a year or two, and they're making room for new stuff, and they put all this stuff that they're trying to get rid of on a table, and they sell it. Dirt ass cheap. We're talking the most expensive thing. This was literally a 1, 2, 3 sale, which means everything on that table was $1, $2, or $3. And I'm sitting there going, okay, hon, that's cool. When did they post that sale? And she's like, 5 hours ago. It's like, do you really expect that a game shop, and this is one of those game shops where half of it they sell games and the other half they constantly got gamers back there role playing or doing magic tournaments or board gaming, something. That room is always full. And I asked her, do you honestly think that a game shop having a sale like that with the gamers there, 5 hours later there's going to be anything left? She's like, I don't know. Well, we ended up saying, fine, okay, we'll just get dressed. We haven't been in bed for more than 5 minutes, so let's just get dressed. We'll go up there and see. If they got anything, we look at it. If they don't, we won't regret it later, not having gone up. So we get up there, and they actually did still have some stuff. So we perused through it, and we ended up walking out, and we spent $12 and walked out with almost $300 in gaming stuff. So talk about a freaking score. One or two of the games ended up being expansions that we can't use until we go back and get the base stuff. But we still managed to walk away with, we made deals. So it was pretty cool. We actually got there half an hour before the store closed, so we got the dregs of whatever was on the table, but those were still pretty good dregs. We got like Killer Bunnies, the card game, and we got another... I can't remember all what we got, but we got some stuff. So it was pretty cool. What else? Well, actually, it's getting on close to the time for me to wrap this up. So I am going to say real quick that come November, I don't know if I'm going to do it the beginning of November or the end of November. It just depends upon if I get my mojo back and I get my energy back and I get back into making videos on a regular basis, or if this fugue bleh, that's been hanging over me the last month or two sticks around. But November, I may be going back to one video a week. Like I said, there's not a lot of video games in the free price bracket out there that are really, I'm not looking at them and going, I can make YouTube videos out of this. It's just, whatever. I don't really have a lot going on in my life. I had to kind of dredge the barrel to put this video together. So there's not going to be a lot of chit chats out. other than the artsy fartsy stuff that I come up with off the top of my head, just winging it, I don't foresee being able to keep up the 2 videos a week thing. I still have 2 videos a week up until November, pre-scheduled and posted, so we're fine until then. But once October's over and we hit November, I may have to start spreading them out again until I get my go-go back. Other than that, I guess that's pretty much all I have to say for now. You guys enjoy your Halloweens coming up, those of you that celebrate it. Those of you that celebrate, harvest parties and whatnot, and you enjoy that. Well, however you enjoy these holidays that we have coming up, I pray that you guys have memorable days, and I guess we will chat at you in the next video. So, until then, I've been your host, DM Renavion, saying stay safe, have fun, I'm out.